The Nile's floodwaters no longer reach the first cataract. A few kilometers upstream from Elephantine Island, a concrete and steel monstrosity is blocking the way, bringing this capricious river under control. The Aswan Dam has usurped Khnum, the god of the floods. At over 4 kilometers long and 111 meters high, the dam is a match for the Great Pyramid, taking up 17 times more space. Since it was built in 1970, this giant structure has transformed Egypt. Today, Egyptian farmers have 3 harvests a year instead of just 1, but there is a price to pay. Chemical fertilizers have replaced the silt from the flood waters. Nowadays, the Aswan Dam is a tourist attraction. It is a source of pride for Egyptians and for those who built it. Roshti was just 22 when he was recruited to work on this vast building site.
I was here 55 years ago, so you can imagine the feelings I have now. Let you imagine the shape of the environment at that time. You see this place, actually, I mean, at that time it wasn't clean and marvelous like this. It was hills and valleys of sand and rocks and all of that. I mean, this was our offices. We found ourselves in 1960, the beginning of the high dam and the beginning of what we call it changing the mood of the Egypt itself, actually. From a small country to a country which has the goodwill to start building something like the high dam. That's why I like to talk about the high dam. It's not because of an engineering sense, but I'm talking about the psychological meaning about it.
In the 1960s, Nasser ruled Egypt. A fervent defender of Arab nationalism, he wanted to proclaim the independence of his country to the whole world. The Aswan Dam became his great achievement. The United States refused to fund it, so Nasser appealed to the Soviet Union and was successful. Work started in 1960. 36,000 workers toiled day and night in temperatures sometimes exceeding 55 degrees. There were numerous accidents. The official number of victims was over 500.
We had a lot of sacrifices, we had a lot of people dying on this project, actually, but the conclusion in the end of it, actually, that we are standing there now, seeing that this project is living among all of us.
Abdel Karim worked on the dam and survived. He was born and bred in Aswan. At the age of 91, the dam remains the biggest adventure of his life.
Long live Egypt! Long live Egypt! Long live Egypt! Now I can talk to you about the dam. When construction started, I was working on a dangerous site. Everything collapsed on top of the workers and lots of people were killed. Work was halted and the biggest machines were banned from the site. We had to continue by hand using shovels. It took all our strength to lift the big stones with ropes. Yes, people died, but it was for a good cause, the Aswan Dam. This is the letter that Gamal Abdel Nasser sent me once the dam was finished. It's a thank you letter. I'm proud of my contribution. I'm glad I helped build the Aswan Dam. I did it for Egypt.
Upstream from Aswan, the construction of the dam has had a drastic consequence: the creation of Lake Nasser, a vast reservoir of water covering an area of over 500 kilometers, encompassing the entire region of Nubia. After thousands of years in existence, the monuments of Nubia are at risk from flooding. The most prestigious of all these archaeological treasures are the Abu Simbel temples. Richard Lebeau is a French Egyptologist. He found his calling at the age of 14 when he visited the Tutankhamun exhibition in Paris in 1967. Since then, he has traveled to Egypt over 100 times. For Richard, Abu Simbel is still one of the most magical places in the world.
In front of you, you have a monumental temple belonging to Ramesses II. It has a 20-meter-high colossus. This was the first time a pharaoh had dared to represent himself as a god. This temple is a miracle. It almost disappeared under Lake Nasser. 42 nations came to the rescue with $36 billion just a week or two before disaster struck.
The operation to save the Abu Simbel temples was launched on 1st of April 1964. It was a race against the clock. For 8 years, 900 people worked on it day in, day out. First, they had to build a dike to protect the site from rising floodwater. Then, workers divided Abu Simbel up into 1,035 blocks, each weighing 20 to 30 tons. The 4-seated giants and the 6 other monumental statues were dug out by hand. The most delicate phase could now begin. It involved transporting this giant jigsaw puzzle 64 meters upstream. Jacks, cranes, and extremely powerful winches were used to raise these huge blocks to the top of the cliff. Finally, artificial hills were built to recreate the original setting for the 2 Abu Simbel temples.
This is an extraordinary sight in terms of technique. Digging up a temple is highly risky and a real challenge. In those days, the world had no concept of universal heritage. It was saving the monuments of Nubia, including the Abu Simbel temples, which gave rise to UNESCO's famous list of World Heritage buildings. The first building on that list was Abu Simbel. This is the second temple of Abu Simbel, the one Ramesses II dedicated to his famous wife, Nefertiti. In addition to being a devoted lover, Ramesses II was a great politician. He knew that the prosperity of Egypt depended on his domination of Nubia. And at the bottom of this inscription that you see here, he is presented as the master of Nubia, today and always.
Nubia was an important region for the pharaohs. It is rich in gold mines, and ivory and African slaves passed through here. The trouble was that the Nubians were inclined to rebel as soon as they got the chance. The pharaohs from northern Egypt tried everything to pacify this rebellious region.
This is a column of prisoners, their hands tied behind their back and on their knees. These people are easily identifiable by their negroid traits. The significance of this frieze, which was on the outside of the temple, was to show Egyptians that the Nubians had been conquered and that this defeat would affect them throughout history until the end of time.
This World Heritage Site was saved, But the Nubian population was forgotten. There was no sign of the paradise Nasser had promised them after the construction of the dam, and 100,000 of them were displaced.